The galaxy was restless. Across hundreds of star systems, alarms sounded in military headquarters, and leaders held emergency meetings. Reports came in from the edges of known space. Planets conquered, fleets destroyed, civilizations forced to surrender. At the center of the fear was a name whispered with dread: the Zephyrians. They were not just another alien race. They were a force of nature, relentless, calculating, and terrifyingly efficient. On Earth, the news of Zephyrian conquests arrived with shock and disbelief. Humans had spent decades building rockets, satellites, and the occasional interstellar probe, but they had never imagined that the galaxy itself would one day threaten them. Television screens showed holographic maps where planets blinked red, signals of planets already lost to Zephyrian control. Scientists and strategists debated endlessly about what to do. "The Zephyrians do not negotiate," said Dr. Lena Harrow, the lead astrophysicist at the United Earth Defense Council. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed worry. "Every civilization they encounter falls in less than a standard galactic year. Our defenses are primitive compared to them." Across the room, military officers argued. "We need a fleet. Hundreds of ships, if not thousands," Captain Raoul Vester said, slamming his fist lightly on the table. "We can't send one small ship to face millions. It's suicide." A soft murmur spread among the council members. Some nodded in agreement. Others remained silent, lost in thought. Humanity had not prepared for a war of this scale. Earth's technology had focused on exploration and survival, not interstellar combat. Their ships were fast, clever, and well-designed for research or defense within the solar system, but nowhere near enough to fight a fleet the size of the Zephyrians. Then the vote was taken, and the decision shocked the galaxy. Earth would send only one ship. The name of that ship was SS Resolute, a sleek vessel built for speed, adaptability, and long-term missions. It was not the largest, nor the most heavily armed, but it was a marvel of human engineering. Its hull shimmered under the laboratory lights, a combination of lightweight alloys and energy-absorbing shields. The ship's design emphasized cleverness over brute force, precision over volume. Dr. Harrow explained the reasoning. "The Zephyrians are predictable. Their power comes from numbers, not adaptability. A single human ship, guided by human creativity and decision-making, could outmaneuver them. We do not have the resources for a massive fleet, but we do have something no other civilization has: humans." There was skepticism, naturally. Many could not understand how one small ship could hope to stand against millions. Even humans struggled to grasp it. But among the crew chosen for the Resolute, doubt was replaced by determination. The crew was a collection of Earth's best minds and bravest hearts. Commander Elias Kane, a decorated space pilot, had seen combat in the outer colonies. Chief Engineer Mara Lynn had designed parts of the ship herself, knowing exactly how to push the engines to their limits without risking failure. Scientists, strategists, and communication experts formed the rest of the crew. Each person had been selected for skill, intelligence, and courage. And each knew the mission was dangerous, possibly fatal, but necessary. When the crew first saw the Zephyrian threat simulations, even they were unsettled. The alien fleet was enormous, stretching millions of kilometers across space. Every map, every diagram showed overlapping layers of ships, bristling with weapons and shields far beyond what humans had ever built. A single human ship was a dot, almost invisible in the scale of the threat. Yet, in that moment, Commander Kane gave his first speech to the crew. "We are small, but we are not weak. Other civilizations rely on numbers, power, and size. We rely on thought, courage, and adaptability. The Zephyrians may not understand us. That is our advantage. One ship, guided by human minds, can do what a fleet of thousands cannot. Remember who we are. We are humans. We survive. We adapt. and we win against the odds." The crew listened, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. They did not need reassurances. Their confidence came from training, preparation, and the knowledge that every step they took was calculated. As launch day approached, Earth held its breath. Citizens gathered around screens, watching the Resolute in the space dock. The ship's hull gleamed like silver against the stars, a lone guardian ready to leave the safety of its home planet. Children waved, adults held hands, and leaders nodded silently. They all knew the odds were against the ship, but hope lived in the courage of its crew. The final preparations were tense. Mara Lynn inspected the engines, making sure every system could perform under extreme stress. Commander Kane went over navigation charts, plotting every possible path through the Zephyrian space. Dr. Harrow checked the adaptive shields, the advanced targeting systems, and the communication links. Every detail mattered. Failure could mean extinction, not just for the crew, but for humanity itself. Finally, the time came. The launch sequence began. The massive engines roared to life, shaking the dock and sending vibrations through the Earth's surface. The ship slowly lifted, cutting through the atmosphere and leaving Earth behind. From orbit, the blue and green planet looked peaceful, a fragile gem in the endless void. "Steady," Kane said over the comms, his voice calm despite the adrenaline. "This is our moment. Remember, speed, precision, and creativity. One mistake could cost us everything. But one clever move could change the course of the galaxy." As the Resolute accelerated into the stars, leaving Earth behind, the crew felt the weight of the galaxy on their shoulders. They were small, but they carried something the Zephyrians could not comprehend: human ingenuity, human courage, and human determination. During the first week in deep space, the crew trained constantly. Simulations of alien battles filled their days. They tested the ship's weapons, shields, and engines to the limits. The humans aboard learned to think several moves ahead, just like a grandmaster in a cosmic chess game. Each scenario taught them not to rely on brute force, but on strategy, improvisation, and adaptation. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other civilizations watched in disbelief. Reports of Earth sending a single ship reached allies and enemies alike. Some laughed, convinced humanity was foolish. Others paused, curious to see how these small, fragile humans would face a threat that had crushed entire fleets before. Weeks passed. As the Resolute approached the edge of known space, sensors picked up the first signs of Zephyrian activity. A distant glow marked a destroyed planet. Debris floated in space, reminders of civilizations lost. The crew stared silently, knowing that the galaxy's balance rested on their decisions. Commander Kane gathered everyone in the observation deck. "We are about to enter Zephyrian space," he said. His eyes scanned the stars. "We are one ship, but we are not alone. We carry the ingenuity of an entire species. Remember, numbers matter, but thinking matters more. Our enemies are powerful, yes, but predictable, and we are human, unpredictable, creative, and fearless. Let them underestimate us. Let them think we are weak. That is the advantage we carry into this fight." The crew nodded. Their training, courage, and confidence prepared them for the trials ahead. Humanity was sending only one ship, but it was not sending just steel and engines. It was sending the very spirit of its people. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a canvas of possibilities. Somewhere in that vast darkness, the Zephyrian fleet waited, but the humans aboard the Resolute did not flinch. They had one mission: to face impossible odds, to protect their home, and to show the galaxy that even a single human ship could stand against the greatest threat it had ever known. As Part 1 closes, the Resolute accelerates toward the unknown, small but determined, carrying hope, courage, and the unshakable spirit of humanity. The galaxy was about to witness something extraordinary, a human crew bracing for a battle no one believed they could win, and preparing to show the universe what it truly meant to be human. The stars stretched endlessly before the SS Resolute, a river of light guiding the lone human ship toward the unknown. Every crew member felt the weight of the mission pressing on their shoulders. They had left Earth behind, a small blue planet fading into the distance, and now every decision, every maneuver, could be the difference between survival and disaster. Commander Elias Kane walked along the observation deck, his boots echoing softly against the polished floor. He paused to look at the crew, each one engaged in preparations or training. "Remember," he said, voice calm but firm, "we are small, yes, but we are precise. The Zephyrians may have numbers, but we have creativity, adaptability, and the courage to act where others hesitate." Chief Engineer Mara Lin was in the engine room, checking the power output of the main drives. The Resolute's engines were designed to push the ship beyond any human vessel that had ever flown. Hyper-efficient fuel cells powered the engines, while a newly developed gravity-based stabilization system allowed the ship to maneuver with unmatched speed. Mara smiled faintly, proud of the engineering marvel she had helped build. "We may be small," she murmured, "but we are fast, and we are clever." The first week in deep space was a mix of awe, routine, and tension. The crew ran simulations that tested every system. Weapons were fired in simulated combat, engines were pushed to maximum output, and the shields were stressed to see how they responded to attacks. The humans were learning to think like the Zephyrians, predicting moves, anticipating strategies, and finding ways to turn small advantages into large victories. On the observation deck, Dr. Lena Harrow, the ship's lead scientist, studied the galaxy through the wide-view sensor array. She traced the movements of distant fleets, noting patterns in alien strategy. "The Zephyrians are precise," she told the crew. "They follow routines. They rely on overwhelming numbers, but they do not adapt quickly. That is their weakness." Lieutenant Arik Juno, the ship's tactical officer, leaned closer to the display. "If they are predictable," he said, "then we can create situations where their predictability becomes their undoing. We can force them to overcommit or misjudge our actions." Kane nodded. "Exactly. They expect humans to fear them. They expect hesitation. We will give them neither. We are not a fleet, but we are a human fleet in spirit. One ship, one crew, one goal. Protect humanity and show them that our strength lies not in numbers, but in mind, courage, and will." Life aboard the Resolute was not only preparation, but adaptation. The crew needed to maintain their health, their minds, and their morale. Exercise, mental training, and team building became part of the daily routine. The ship's AI assisted with monitoring vital signs, running simulations, and providing real-time tactical suggestions. It was advanced, but the AI was only a tool. The final decisions rested with humans. During quiet moments, the crew looked out at the void and wondered what awaited them. Some thought of home, of Earth's green fields and blue oceans. Some thought of family and friends left behind, and some simply marveled at the beauty of space, a dark canvas dotted with stars, planets, and the occasional comet streaking by. Then came the first real test. Deep space sensors picked up a small Zephyrian scout ship, moving slowly and deliberately toward the Resolute. The alien vessel was sleek, but its size was enormous compared to Earth's ships. Kane called the crew to the tactical center. "This is not a battle," he said, "but it is a test. Pay attention, observe, learn. We are not here to destroy it, yet. We are here to understand them." The Resolute adjusted its course slightly, activating its cloaking field. The human ship was almost invisible, blending with the darkness. The crew watched as the alien scout passed nearby, unaware of the humans observing it. Harrow analyzed the scouts' movements. "Their sensors are highly advanced but rigid," she said. "They follow predictable scanning patterns. They rely on repetition." Kane smiled faintly. "Perfect. We now know the first weakness. Predictability." He turned to his tactical officer. "Make a note. Every pattern they have observed is a chance for us to exploit them. Every routine can be a trap if we act carefully and quickly." The following days were filled with similar encounters. Small scouts, automated drones, and distant patrols passed by the Resolute. Each time, the crew observed, analyzed, and recorded. Every interaction added to their growing understanding of Zephyrian strategy. The humans were learning faster than the aliens could anticipate, a lesson that would serve them well in the battles to come. Yet, it was not all calculations and strategy. Human emotion remained a part of the journey. The crew shared stories, jokes, and memories to keep spirits high. Even Commander Kane allowed himself brief moments of laughter, understanding that morale was as important as skill. In private moments, Mara Lynn worked in the engine room, humming softly as she adjusted systems, taking comfort in the knowledge that their combined effort had built something remarkable. One week, the Resolute experienced a minor technical problem, an unexpected fluctuation in the hyperdrive system. Panic could have set in, but the crew worked calmly and efficiently. Mara led the repair with the assistance of her engineering team. Within hours, the hyperdrive was stabilized, running better than before. The incident reminded everyone that preparation was essential, but so was composure under pressure. Humans thrived where others might panic. As the ship continued its journey, the crew began to test combat drills more aggressively. Simulations pitted them against overwhelming odds. Every exercise taught a lesson in creativity, adaptability, and speed. A single human ship, they realized, could achieve what thousands of conventional ships could not, if every decision was precise and every movement unexpected. The first month of travel ended with the Resolute reaching the outer edge of Zephyrian-claimed space. Sensors detected a massive energy signature in the distance, probably a small fleet gathering resources near a conquered planet. Kane called a meeting. "This is our first real view of the enemy's power," he said. "We are still outnumbered, but now we see the scale of what we face. One ship cannot hope to destroy them outright, but one ship can survive, can probe, can learn, and can set the stage for something greater." Harrow analyzed the readings. "Their fleet is enormous, but it lacks flexibility. The larger the fleet, the slower their response to unexpected moves. If we stay hidden, observe, and strike at key points, we can create chaos without risking direct destruction." Kane nodded. "Exactly. This is the first rule of surviving as humans in a galaxy ruled by numbers. Adapt, strike, and retreat when needed. Numbers can overwhelm, but brains and courage can turn the tide." As the Resolute moved closer, the crew felt both excitement and apprehension. They were entering a dangerous space, but they were also armed with knowledge, skill, and unity. The journey had strengthened them, not only in ability but in spirit. They were not just a crew, they were humanity's hope, a spark against the darkness of the Zephyrian threat. Even as the stars stretched endlessly ahead, the humans aboard the Resolute felt ready. They had learned to survive, to adapt, and to think in ways the Zephyrians could not predict. The small ship carried more than engines and weapons. It carried the determination, courage, and creativity of an entire species. As Part 2 closes, the Resolute glides silently into the fringes of enemy space, cloaked and observant, carrying humans prepared to turn their weaknesses into advantages. The journey toward confrontation had begun, and the crew knew that the first true test of their courage and ingenuity was just ahead. The Resolute approached the heart of Zephyrian space. Stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of the galaxy, but the emptiness was deceptive. Every sensor was alert, Every system was online. The crew felt a tension that was almost physical. A mixture of fear, anticipation, and determination. Commander Elias Kane stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. He looked at the glowing display of nearby star systems, then turned to his crew. "We are now deep within Zephyrian territory," he said. "We are alone. Every decision we make now matters more than ever. One mistake, and we may not return. But one clever action, and we could change the course of the galaxy." Lieutenant Arik Juno, tactical officer, adjusted the scanning arrays. "Sensors are picking up multiple energy signatures," he reported. "Several Zephyrian vessels, much larger than any scouts we encountered before. They appear to be patrolling a nearby system. Our presence may already be detectable." Commander Kane nodded. "Good. That means they are following their usual patterns. They are predictable. We can use that." The Resolute moved carefully, maintaining a low profile. The ship's advanced cloaking system allowed it to blend with the darkness of space, but even so, the Zephyrians had powerful sensors. Every movement had to be deliberate. Every choice had to be calculated. Dr. Lena Harrow studied the readings on her console. "Their fleet is enormous," she said. "Thousands of ships, each bristling with weapons. But their formation is rigid. They rely on repetition, on structure. That is their weakness. They are strong, yes, but slow to adapt. That is where we can gain the advantage." "For days," the Resolute observed, "they did not engage. They watched. They recorded. Every patrol route, every pattern of movement, every change in behavior was logged. The crew studied it relentlessly. Even the smallest detail could become crucial in a real encounter." During one quiet night on the ship, Mara Lynn, the chief engineer, walked along the observation deck. The stars seemed infinite, unchanging, but she knew that space was a dangerous place. "We are tiny in comparison," she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. "One ship against millions, but we are clever, and we are human. That is our strength." Suddenly, alarms sounded. Red lights flashed across the bridge. A Zephyrian patrol had detected an anomaly. The Resolute had been spotted, but only briefly. Kane's voice was calm but firm. "Everyone, prepare for maneuver. Shields up. Engines to maximum readiness. We do not fight recklessly. We survive. We observe. We learn." The patrol ship approached, massive and imposing. Its weapons glowed with a faint energy hum, scanning for targets. The crew of the Resolute held their breath. Every eye watched the approaching ship. Every hand was ready at a console. Then Kane gave the order. "Activate the decoy protocol. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The Resolute's cloaking system flickered, creating multiple energy signatures that mimicked several ships. The Zephyrian vessel adjusted, unsure which signature to target. The humans used this confusion to slip past, silently and invisibly. "Successful," Juno said quietly. "They are following false leads. We have slipped through." Kane allowed himself a small smile. "Remember this feeling. This is what humans do best. We adapt, we improvise, and we survive where others fail. One ship, one crew, one chance, we make it count." The next few days were filled with more careful movements. The Resolute mapped out the enemy's fleet in detail. They discovered that the Zephyrians were highly disciplined, but predictable. Every patrol, every shift, every pattern followed a strict sequence. They were powerful, but inflexible. The humans began to plan their first strategic move. It was not a direct attack. They were too small to challenge the fleet head-on, but a demonstration of human ingenuity. Using speed, precision, and misdirection, they could disrupt enemy routines, create confusion, and gather critical intelligence. One evening, as the ship drifted near a Zephyrian communication relay, Kane called the crew to the observation deck. "Look at them," he said, pointing toward the distant ships. "They are organized, yes, Powerful, yes, but rigid. We can outthink them. We can outmaneuver them. That is what makes humans strong. That is why we can survive here when no one expects us to. Harrow nodded. We can interfere with their communication signals, not to destroy but to confuse, force them to respond in ways they do not anticipate. That will give us information about their capabilities and limits. The crew spent hours preparing. Mara Lynn adjusted the power output to maximize the effectiveness of their electronic interference without exposing the ship. Juno calculated the approach vectors, angles of attack, and escape routes. Every variable was considered, every possible outcome simulated. Finally, the moment arrived. The Resolute approached the relay under the cover of darkness. Its systems hummed softly, shields glowing faintly. Kane gave the command. Initiate interference. Observe, but do not engage in direct combat unless necessary. The ship's systems projected a series of energy pulses toward the relay, creating subtle disruptions. The Zephyrians responded immediately, redirecting nearby ships, sending signals, and attempting to isolate the anomaly. But every reaction was precisely what the humans anticipated. "We are watching their every move," Kane said. "Notice how they respond. They think they are in control, but we guide them without them knowing. This is our first victory, not in destruction, but in understanding." Over the following days, the crew repeated the process, carefully probing the enemy fleet. Each interaction revealed more about Zephyrian behavior, strategy, and weaknesses. They learned how the aliens communicated, how quickly they reacted, and how rigid their patterns could be. The crew grew confident, but not reckless. They understood that the Zephyrians were not invincible. They could be outmaneuvered, outthought, and outmatched in clever ways. The humans aboard the Resolute were small, but they were fast, precise, and unpredictable, a combination no Zephyrian fleet had ever faced. Late one night, Kane stood alone on the observation deck, gazing at the distant alien fleet. "We are not here to destroy them. Not yet," he whispered to himself. "We are here to survive, to learn, and to show that humans do not surrender. One ship is enough if it is guided by the human mind and human courage." As Part 3 closes, the Resolute had made its first contact with Zephyrian forces, not through direct combat, but through observation, intelligence, and clever maneuvering. The crew had proven that humans could face an overwhelming enemy with calm, creativity, and courage. The first stage of the battle was over, and the real challenge, the test of skill, strategy, and survival, was about to begin. The galaxy was watching, though none yet knew the full strength of humanity. A small ship, carrying humans with unmatched ingenuity, had stepped into the heart of enemy territory. The story of courage, adaptability, and the unbreakable human spirit was just beginning. The Resolute had now been deep in Zephyrian space for several weeks. Every day the alien fleet seemed larger, more intimidating, and more organized. Yet the humans aboard the lone ship had grown sharper, faster, and more confident with every observation. They had learned the enemy's patterns, predicted their moves, and prepared strategies that no Zephyrian mind could anticipate. Commander Elias Kane stood on the bridge, staring at the vast array of energy signatures on the main display. Thousands of ships formed a massive formation, moving in perfect lines across the black void. "This is it," he said quietly, almost to himself. "This is where we show them what humans are capable of, not with numbers, but with courage, creativity, and precision." Lieutenant Arik Juno adjusted the tactical sensors. "Their formation is predictable, as expected. They rely on repetition. Any unexpected move could cause confusion among them." "Exactly," Kane said, "and that is exactly what we are going to give them." The Resolute moved closer to the heart of the Zephyrian fleet, still cloaked. Sensors detected several patrols moving along the outer edges. Using the ship's advanced engines, the human vessel positioned itself in a way that it could strike without being immediately noticed. The plan was simple, yet daring. Hit hard, create chaos, and escape before the enemy could regroup. Chief Engineer Mara Lin adjusted the energy output to the ship's weapons. "Everything is ready," she reported. "The adaptive shields are at maximum, and the engines are primed for sudden jumps. We can move faster than they expect, and we can hit where they are weakest." Harrow analyzed the fleet's communication patterns. "We can disrupt their signals," she said. "We don't need to destroy their ships. If we interfere with their coordination, we can make a single strike seem like a larger attack. It will force them to react and reveal their weaknesses." The crew worked together in silence, each knowing their role perfectly. The plan required precision timing, flawless execution, and absolute trust in one another. Kane gave the final command. "Initiate interference and engage. Observe, adapt, and strike where necessary. One ship, one chance. Make it count." The Resolute activated its systems. A faint hum filled the bridge as the ship's adaptive shields strengthened. Weapon systems primed and cloaking fields shimmered around the hull. Then, almost silently, the human ship slipped forward. The first strike was subtle but effective. A small group of Zephyrian ships, assigned to communications, was hit with an electronic pulse. Their coordination faltered instantly. Patrols sent to investigate collided or veered off course. Chaos spread in the outer edge of the fleet. Lieutenant Juno's eyes widened with excitement. "They're reacting. They don't understand what's happening." Kane's lips curved into a small smile. "Exactly. And now we watch and adapt." The humans did not linger. Using speed and precision, the Resolute struck again, this time targeting a supply convoy. With a few well-placed maneuvers, several enemy ships were disabled without being destroyed. The aliens were forced to divert attention to protect their supplies, leaving gaps in their patrols. Harrow recorded every response. "Every time we force them to react, they reveal another weakness. They are disciplined, yes, but inflexible. They cannot handle sudden changes in strategy. We can use this." Over the next several hours, the Resolute moved like a shadow through the Zephyrian fleet. Each strike was calculated, each maneuver precise. No ship was destroyed unnecessarily, but every action caused confusion and forced the enemy to spread their forces thin. The crew grew exhilarated. For the first time, humans were not merely surviving. They were influencing the outcome of battle, even as a single ship against an entire fleet. Mara Lin monitored the engines, ensuring that every jump, every acceleration, and every evasive move was executed flawlessly. The ship moved faster than any Zephyrian could predict. Then came the unexpected test. A large patrol, noticing the earlier disruptions, broke formation and attempted to intercept the Resolute. The human ship was now in immediate danger. "Shields at full power," Kane ordered. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Remember, we are unpredictable. Move like humans, think like humans, survive like humans." The Resolute darted between enemy ships, moving at speeds and angles the Zephyrians had not anticipated. Every maneuver forced the aliens to overreact, creating gaps and collisions. One by one, enemy ships were forced to retreat from positions they had held for years. Juno's voice was tense with excitement. "They are losing control. They cannot anticipate our moves." Harrow smiled. "Every predictable pattern they have, we have turned against them. They do not understand how humans think. That is our advantage." The battle raged for hours, but the humans remained calm. They had trained for this. They had planned for unpredictability, for speed, and for adaptation. The Resolute became a phantom in the Zephyrian fleet, striking where least expected and slipping away before retaliation. Finally, the largest challenge appeared. A Zephyrian warship, twice the size of any previously encountered, moved to intercept the Resolute. Its weapons glowed with intense energy, ready to obliterate the human ship. Kane studied the readings. "This is it. Precision and timing. We do not fight with brute force, but with mind and courage. Follow the plan. The crew executed a complex series of maneuvers. The Resolute twisted through space, dodging energy beams, weaving between enemy ships, and striking weak points in the warship's formation. The humans used the warship's own routines against it, forcing it to move in ways that exposed vulnerabilities. Finally, the warship's systems were disrupted, not destroyed, but enough to force it to retreat and regroup. The Zephyrian fleet's outer edge was in disarray. Patrols collided, supply lines were interrupted, and coordination broke down. Kane allowed a moment of quiet pride. This is what humans do best. We are not the largest, but we are the cleverest. We do not fear impossible odds, and we do not surrender. One ship can change the course of a battle, if guided by mind, courage, and unity. The crew smiled, exhausted, but exhilarated. They had survived. But more than that, they had proven that humans could strike fear and confusion into the heart of an overwhelming enemy. Mara Lynn monitored the engines, ensuring no systems were overstrained. The ship performed perfectly, she said. We are stronger than we thought. Harrow recorded every moment. These patterns will be invaluable. The Zephyrians will learn from this, yes. But so will we. Every encounter makes us better, faster, smarter. The battle had lasted longer than anyone expected, but the humans aboard the Resolute had emerged victorious in their own way. They had not destroyed the Zephyrian fleet, but they had disrupted it, exposed weaknesses, and proved that even a single human ship could influence a vast enemy armada. As Part 4 closes, the Resolute floated among the stars, battered but unbroken. The crew had learned that numbers were not the ultimate measure of strength. Creativity, adaptability, and courage could turn impossible odds into opportunity. The Zephyrians would not forget this encounter. Humanity had made its mark on the galaxy, not with overwhelming power, but with intelligence, teamwork, and unshakable determination. The next challenge would be greater. The humans had proven themselves against the fleet's first wave, but the heart of the Zephyrian armada awaited, and when that confrontation came, the Resolute would be ready, carrying the courage and spirit of an entire species into battle. The stars outside the ship glimmered, distant and silent witnesses to the triumph of a small crew against a massive fleet. One ship, one human crew, one incredible display of ingenuity, proof that humanity could face the greatest threats and endure. The Resolute drifted through the darkness of Zephyrian space, its hull still glowing faintly from the energy surges of recent battles. The crew had survived against impossible odds. Their hearts were tired but full of determination. Every member of the ship knew that the challenges ahead were even greater. The heart of the Zephyrian fleet, the command armada, waited beyond the next system, and it was larger, faster, and more disciplined than any they had faced before. Commander Elias Kane stood on the bridge, observing the stars. "We've proven something already," he said quietly to his crew. "They've seen us, and they do not understand. They think one ship is no threat. That is their mistake." Lieutenant Arik Juno adjusted the tactical sensors, scanning the approaching fleet. "Their numbers are overwhelming as expected," he said, "but their response patterns remain the same. They are still predictable." Kane nodded. "And that is all we need. Predictability is weakness. They cannot imagine a human mind acting differently, making decisions instantly, and thinking beyond rules. That is what we will use." Dr. Lena Harrow studied the fleet on the display. "Their communication networks are vast, but each node depends on the other. If we disrupt key links, the entire fleet will hesitate. They will not know how to react without direct orders from command." The crew began preparing their most daring plan yet. The goal was not destruction. It was disruption, precision strikes, and psychological impact. They would not fight every ship. Instead, they would move like a shadow through the fleet, hitting key vessels, forcing the Zephyrians to scatter, and showing them that humans were not to be underestimated. Mara Lynn monitored the engines, adjusting power levels for maximum efficiency. We can move faster than any of their ships expect. Our jumps can confuse them. They'll chase shadows, and we'll strike where they are weakest. The Resolute slipped forward under the cover of darkness, cloaked and silent. Its sensors scanned constantly, reading every signal, every energy pulse, every movement of the enemy fleet. Kane gave the order. Initiate interference and engage. Remember, our goal is disruption and knowledge. Hit where needed, avoid unnecessary risk, and stay human. The first strike targeted the Zephyrian command relays. Pulses of interference caused minor malfunctions, forcing the fleet to adjust and reallocate ships. A patrol that should have been in formation collided with another, creating a ripple of confusion. The humans watched, fascinated and exhilarated. "They don't understand what is happening," Juno said. "Every reaction is exactly what we expected." Kane allowed himself a faint smile. "They are seeing the impossible. One ship, causing chaos where there should be order. That is the power of humans." The next targets were the Zephyrian supply lines. Using clever maneuvers, the Resolute disabled several vessels without destruction. The aliens were forced to protect resources, leaving gaps in their patrols. Every step was planned with precision, but the humans were ready to improvise. For hours, the ship moved like a phantom. Every strike was calculated, every movement unexpected. The crew had become one mind, one spirit, perfectly attuned to the rhythms of both their ship and the enemy fleet. Then the largest challenge arrived. A section of the Zephyrian fleet, more massive than any the humans had seen, moved to intercept the Resolute. Its weapons glowed with destructive energy, capable of obliterating the human ship instantly. Kane called the crew to focus. "This is the test of everything we've trained for. Speed, precision, adaptability, every skill we have learned comes down to this moment. We do not fight like they expect. We fight like humans." The ship darted through the enemy formation, twisting and turning at impossible speeds. Energy beams whizzed past, narrowly missing the hull. The humans struck key vessels, not to destroy, but to force errors. Enemy ships collided, broke formation, and retreated to regroup. Harrow recorded every reaction. "Their patterns are breaking down. They are trying to maintain order, but it is slipping away. Humans are demonstrating something they cannot predict, ingenuity under pressure." Mara Lynn monitored the engines as they strained under repeated jumps. "We can hold this," she said. "The ship is performing better than expected. Humans built this to survive and outthink the impossible." Hours passed, but the Resolute did not falter. Every strike forced the Zephyrians to reconsider. Every maneuver demonstrated human unpredictability. The alien commanders could not understand how a single ship caused such widespread disruption. They had expected fear and hesitation. Instead, they faced courage, speed, and cleverness beyond their calculations. Finally, the command armada signaled retreat. The Zephyrians had underestimated humans. One small, determined crew had forced them to abandon their plans, scatter, and leave the sector to regroup. Kane allowed a moment of quiet pride. Humanity had not destroyed the Zephyrians, but they had achieved something greater. They had shown that humans were a force to be reckoned with. The Resolute drifted silently, the crew exhausted but triumphant. They had survived impossible odds, struck fear into a vast enemy, and proven that cleverness, courage, and adaptability were as powerful as any weapon. "Every civilization watching this will take notice," Kane said. "We have not only survived, we have changed the way the galaxy sees humanity. We are unpredictable, capable, and fearless. One ship can make a difference." Back on Earth, people watched the reports in awe. The Resolute had become a symbol of hope, courage, and ingenuity. Children waved at the screens, adults held their breath, and leaders from other planets sent messages of admiration. Humans had shown that the impossible was possible, that one determined crew could stand against overwhelming odds. The crew celebrated quietly, aware of the danger that still existed. They had survived, yes, but the galaxy was vast, and the Xipherians were not defeated. Yet the experience had changed them. They had learned to trust each other completely, to act decisively, and to embrace creativity over brute force. Kane walked along the observation deck, looking at the stars. "We have proven what humans are capable of," he said softly. "Not through numbers, not through power, but through courage, mind, and will. This is only the beginning. The galaxy now knows that humans are a species to be respected, not ignored." The crew nodded. They had achieved the impossible. One ship, carrying the spirit of humanity, had faced a fleet that had destroyed countless worlds and had survived. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. As the Resolute turned its course back toward Earth, the crew reflected on what they had accomplished. They had not only survived, they had shown that humanity could turn weakness into strength, that courage and ingenuity could overcome overwhelming odds, and that even a single determined ship could change the course of events in a galaxy dominated by fear. The stars glimmered beyond the hull, silent witnesses to human bravery. One small ship had become a legend, proving that numbers alone did not determine victory. Human spirit, human ingenuity, and human courage had turned the tide, and the galaxy would remember this moment for generations to come. The Resolute carried not just a crew, but the hopes of a species. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not through sheer power, but through the qualities that made them human. The story of one ship against 1,000, one crew against a fleet, would be told across the stars. A story of courage, intelligence, and the unbreakable human spirit. And as the ship entered the path back to Earth, the crew knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer seen as small or weak. They were a species of thinkers, fighters, and survivors. One ship had shown what millions could not, a lesson in ingenuity, courage, and heart. The Resolute sailed on through the stars, carrying humanity's spirit home, a symbol of what one determined crew could achieve, and proof that the human race, no matter the odds, would always find a way to survive, adapt, and triumph.